You catch your reflection, and something in you flinches. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a small, private pulling away, a quick glance, a tightening in your chest, a thought that arrives before you invited it. Not good enough, too much, not pretty enough, not thin enough, not young enough, not the version I wish I was. And before you even realize what happened, you have already turned the mirror into a courtroom. You were just brushing your teeth, walking past a store window, standing in an elevator, opening the bathroom door, and suddenly, there you are. Not prepared, not posed, not softened by the version of yourself you know how to perform, just caught, seen, returned to yourself. And instead of feeling neutral, instead of simply thinking, that's me, your body reacts like something is wrong. If this has happened to you, you are not vain. You are not shallow. You are not broken. Your mind had a reason. Because the pain is not just about your reflection. It is about the relationship you were taught to have with it. Some people think hating your reflection is about appearance, but sometimes the face is not the wound. Sometimes the mirror is only where the wound shows up. The real ache is not your nose, your skin, your weight, your hair, your age, your body. The real ache is the way you were trained to meet yourself, with suspicion, with measurement, with disappointment, with a silent inventory of everything that could be corrected before anyone else sees it. And maybe you have done it for so long, you do not even notice that it is a relationship. You think you are just looking, but you are not just looking. You are grading. You are comparing. You are checking for evidence. You are asking the mirror a question it was never supposed to answer. Am I acceptable yet? Am I safe to be seen? Can I leave the house like this? Will someone notice what I notice? Will someone think what I'm already thinking? And that is exhausting. Because mirrors are everywhere. Bathroom mirrors, car windows, storefront glass, dark phone screens, microwave doors, elevator walls, a spoon, a black television screen before it turns on, tiny moments of accidental self-recognition scattered through the day. And for someone who has made peace with themselves, those moments are nothing, just glass, just light, just a passing reflection. But for you, they can feel like being interrupted by an accusation. You were fine 2 seconds ago. Then you saw yourself, and suddenly, you are not fine anymore. That is not because your face changed. That is because the voice started talking. And maybe that voice sounds so familiar now. You think it is yours. But was it always yours? Were you born that way? Did you come into the world already knowing how to scan your own face for flaws? Did you stand in front of a mirror as a child and naturally hate what you saw? No. Children do not begin by treating their reflection like an enemy. A child looks in the mirror with curiosity. They make faces. They smile. They press their hands to the glass. They turn their head and watch the reflection move with them. They do not know yet that they are supposed to separate themselves into acceptable and unacceptable parts. They do not know yet that a body can be ranked. They do not know yet that a face can become a problem. Somewhere between that child and you, something was taught. Maybe directly. Maybe someone commented on your weight before you even understood your body was being watched. Maybe someone pointed out your nose, your skin, your teeth, your hair, your forehead, your stomach, your legs. Maybe they said it casually, like a joke, like advice, like concern, like they were helping, but your body heard it differently. Your body heard, this part of me is unsafe. This part of me can be noticed. This part of me can be used against me. And once a child learns that something about them can be judged, they start looking for it first, before anyone else can. That is how the mirror changes. It stops being a place of recognition. It becomes a place of defense. Maybe no one criticized you directly. Maybe the wound came through comparison. Maybe there was a pretty one, a thin one, a lighter one, a curvier one, a smaller one, a more feminine one, a more photogenic one. Maybe you watched the room respond differently to someone else. Maybe you noticed who got praised, who got called beautiful, who got attention without trying, who got treated gently because of how they looked. And even if nobody said you were less, your mind did the math. It said, there must be something about me that does not create that reaction. There must be something I am missing, something I am not doing right, something they see when they look at me. So you started looking too, trying to find the thing, trying to solve the mystery of why being you felt different. Or maybe the voice came from the women around you. Maybe you watched your mother hate her own reflection, your aunt, your sister, your grandmother. Maybe mirrors in your home were not places of softness. Maybe they were places where women sighed, pulled at their clothes, criticized their bodies, talked about diets, called themselves ugly, stared at aging like it was a failure. And you learned, this is what women do. They look at themselves and find what is wrong. They apologize for their bodies before anyone else can comment. They laugh at themselves before anyone else gets the chance. They treat the mirror like a witness for the prosecution. And maybe no one meant to pass that down. But pain does not need intention to become inheritance. Sometimes the way a mother looks at herself teaches a daughter how to look at herself. Sometimes a family does not need to call you ugly to teach you that being seen is dangerous. Sometimes they only have to show you that womanhood comes with a permanent apology. And then there is the other kind of wound, the one people do not always recognize. Maybe you were praised for how you looked, maybe too much. Maybe people called you pretty before they asked who you were. Maybe your face got attention before your feelings did. Maybe beauty became the thing that made people notice you. And for a while, that praise felt good. Of course it did. A child wants to be seen. But if being seen is tied too tightly to appearance, the mirror becomes a performance review. Because now your reflection is not just you. It is your assignment, your currency, your proof. The thing you are afraid to lose. The thing you are afraid to fail at. So even praise can become a cage. Because if people loved you most when you looked right, then every mirror becomes a question. Do I still have it? Am I still enough? Will they still choose me if this changes? That is why this wound is complicated. It is not only about being insulted, it is also about being reduced. To the pretty one, the not pretty one, the big one, the small one, the one who let herself go, the one who needs to fix herself, the one who should be grateful, the one who should try harder. And after years of hearing those categories, the reflection stops being neutral. It becomes a place where every old label waits for you. So when you flinch, that flinch makes sense. It was protection. Looking away helped you survive the discomfort. Scanning quickly helped you avoid feeling too much. Controlling the angle helped you feel less exposed. Avoiding mirrors helped you get through the day. Maybe you learned to get dressed without really looking. Maybe you look only at parts, hair, shirt, teeth, shoes, but not the whole person. Maybe you avoid eye contact with yourself in the mirror. Maybe you glance fast enough to function, but not long enough to feel. And that probably helped once. It gave you distance from a voice that hurt. But the problem with protection is, sometimes it becomes a prison. Because now the mirror still has power, even when no one is there, even when no one is judging, even when nothing is happening. The old voice keeps renewing the verdict, and every time you look away too quickly, some part of you silently agrees. Yes, too painful, too flawed, too much to face, and you end up living with mirrors everywhere, without ever really seeing yourself in them. Not because you are dramatic, not because you are weak, but because somewhere along the way, your reflection became linked to shame, and shame makes us hide, even from ourselves. But here is the question. Whose voice are you hearing when you look? Not what is it saying. Who does it sound like? Is it a parent, a classmate, a sibling, an ex, a friend who always compared, a stranger who made one comment years ago and somehow moved into your head? Is it a whole culture, a family system, a room full of people who taught you that your body had to earn kindness? Because sometimes the beginning of healing is not saying, I am beautiful. Sometimes that is too far away. Sometimes it feels fake, too big, too forced. Sometimes the first healing sentence is much smaller. That is not my voice. That thought did not begin with me. That judgment was taught. That verdict was inherited. That criticism came from somewhere. And if it came from somewhere, it can be separated from you. You do not have to argue with every thought. You do not have to stand in the mirror and perform confidence you do not feel. You do not have to force yourself into instant self-love. Gentle healing is allowed to be slower than that. Maybe the goal right now is not to love your reflection. Maybe the goal is to stop attacking it. Maybe the goal is neutrality. To see your face without turning it into evidence. To see your body without immediately making it a project. To see yourself without asking whether you deserve to be seen. Start smaller than affirmation. Start with 3 seconds. The next time you pass a mirror, or a window, or the dark reflection of a screen, stay 3 seconds longer than you normally would. Do not fix. Do not scan. Do not narrate. Do not begin the inventory. Just look, not like a judge, not like an enemy, not like someone searching for what went wrong. Look like you might look at a stranger waiting at a bus stop. Neutral, human, allowed to exist. And when the criticism rises, because it probably will, pause. Ask it gently. Whose voice is this? Who taught me to look this way? Who benefits when I cannot meet myself without shame? Who made my reflection feel unsafe? And maybe a name comes. Maybe a memory. Maybe a room. Maybe a younger version of you standing in front of a mirror, trying to understand why being seen suddenly hurt. Be kind to that version. They were not vain. They were learning the rules. They were trying to survive attention. They were trying to be acceptable in a world that kept moving the line. They were trying to protect you from rejection. So do not shame yourself for the flinch. Thank it for getting you this far. Then remind it. We are not there anymore. We do not have to look through their eyes anymore. We do not have to keep repeating a verdict we never examined. We do not have to turn glass into a courtroom, because the mirror was never supposed to be a trial. It was supposed to be a meeting, a simple meeting between you and you, not a performance, not a punishment, not a place where old voices get to speak first. And maybe one day, you will pass a store window and not brace. Maybe you will catch your reflection and not shrink. Maybe you will see your own face and feel no need to apologize for it. Not because every insecurity disappeared, not because you suddenly became someone else, but because you finally stopped letting borrowed voices introduce you to yourself. That is the work. Not becoming perfect, not becoming untouchable, not becoming someone who never has a hard day with their reflection. The work is making the mirror yours again, taking it back from the comments, the comparisons, the family wounds, the old rooms, the people who taught you to search for flaws before you searched for yourself. You were not born flinching. That was taught. And what was taught can be unlearned. Slowly, softly, 3 seconds at a time. Until one day, you look into the glass and there is no verdict, no inventory, no old voice waiting to tear you apart. Just you, meeting you, like someone you were always meant to come home to.